I'm here with Lynne Suprock, and I love this mosaic table that she brought with her. And Lynne, the other thing that you brought is actually some frames, which essentially you said are the same technique.
Right, we're going to use the same technique for both of these projects.
But you said it's not your average mosaic. There's a little surprise in how we're going to put this all together.
Yes, we're going to do some decorative designer grouting, which is going to be a really different approach to putting in grout.
Awesome.
We're going to make it our own color, add our own things, so we'll get started and do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I have already set up is this is big, but I have a small frame, and this could be a mirror or picture frame. And what you would want to do is set up your design element ahead of time. Where do you want your tiles? It's great to use recycled things like old jewelry pieces, and then also little twigs, you know, a little bit from nature. So you would kind of set out your design and how you would want it to look at the end. And then you're going to decide which ones you're going to have to glue on versus which things you're going to just set into the grout.
How do you make that decision, which is better for glue and which is better for grout?
Well, anything with a flat back, like the heart, we're going to glue down. The mosaics here are already glued down. Something like this is pretty hard to glue. It's very porous. Something like this as well, you don't want your glue oozing out of it, so you're just going to kind of set that in your grout.
I was going to say, the twigs are round, the beads are round back. I get it. So flat back, glue,
right.
Anything that's more porous or round.
It's going to move around.
Right. That's where we use the grout.
So let me grab some of this glue, and I'm just going to give a quick brush to the back of this heart. And then I'm just going to set it, whoops. And
not stick it to your finger, which is what I tend to do
throw it
all
on
the time.
Floor so that
you know, that's part
up.
of the crafting lifestyle. I think, you know, my floor is quite decorative at this point.
Cat hair and everything else comes in the project. So you get the idea. So you're going to, you know, hold that down.
Hold it for like 30 seconds, let it set.
And then you could test to see if it's movable before you begin. And then you're going to, you know, I'm going to have my other things maybe above here that I'm going to set in. Maybe I want to put these twigs here. So I'm going to have it maybe like that. So to get started mixing this designer grout, I'm going to put gloves on because this adhesive or this paste is pretty sticky.
It gets a little bit messy.
It does. Almost everything we do gets a little bit messy.
I know, it's true. But I always say, like, when people say, what do you do for a living? And I say, I'm an artist. And they say, what's that like? And I say, I never have clean hands.
You never have clean hands. And I had so many gloves. So, okay, so if you're using a very, you know, doing a small project, you can mix it up in small batches. I would say maybe this is a medium kind of a setup. So we're going to use smaller amount to mix up. And it's a part A, part B, epoxy. So you would just add, a little bit
and I can
of that.
see if I just look into these larger, containers so you can see the consistency of it. It's kind of what I would describe as gloopy. Can that be a technical term?
Yeah.
It's more runny than like, let's say a clay or something like that. It's almost more of
It doesn't have the consistency of a modeling clay.
Yeah.
It's something that's more, runny or goopy.
Right, which is one of the reasons that using the tubes, especially for a small project, is very convenient because you can just go ahead and squeeze it directly into the cup. And I assume you're doing, you know, essentially almost equal parts here.
Yeah, this is a little forgiving, so you don't have to have exactly millimeter or milliliter of product to millimeter of product. So I'm just going to squeeze out both of these tubes because I'm going to use it probably for the whole project. And then I'm going to take...
Well, that's the easiest way to measure a vol. Just use the whole thing.
It's very easy. So I'm going to grab some sticks here. And I'm going to use 2 sticks because it is a little goopy, as you say. And
2 sticks to mix because that helps you get between? Or
it helps, you know, the sticks won't break in all the mixing that you're going to do. So just get this kind of in here like that. See, it's just pretty goopy, but that's okay because you're going to put an additive in it, make it a little thicker, and I'll show you. Won't mix up any more of this because I already have pre-mixed, so we can head on right over to this. It's essentially the same thing, A and B, and I've used these sticks. Okay, and then I'm just mixing, slimy, goopy, slimy. And then what's an interesting thing is this, I'm going to use this baking soda. It's going to make it the consistency of your hardware grout. It's going to be...
Wow, that's what's going to add the graininess to it?
It's going to give the thickness, the graininess, the real grout look, even though it's not grout. So I got about a tablespoon. put as much as you want in this.
Oh, so it's not a thing like you have to be careful about how much you put
want
in.
a thickness, a certain thickness is what you're looking for, and it's your consistency of how runny or how thick you want it. So it won't, it won't mess up the setup time. And then after you've added your baking soda and decided you have the thickness you want, I put a mica kind of powders in, some kind of...
I thought that was going to be paint.
Well, no, that was a lot of powder. See that powder that went in there? But that's okay.
That's
and then I like glitter.
Oh, yeah.
Whew, okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm going to just put a little glitter in here as well.
But although the nice thing is when you mix glitter into a wet medium, it traps it so it actually doesn't get everywhere.
So, okay, I have that already mixed up. And then ahead of time, I put it in a baggie.
See, I thought you were making baby food.
A baggie. It looks like
it does.
Not my favorite baby food, but the color is what we're using for our grout, so it works for that.
It's a beautiful pumpkin.
It's going to be really easy to squirt this out then and use it on your project if you just nip the corner of it.
So this is straight out of cookie decorating on how to make a pastry bag.
Right, and I told you that, well, I have my things that I want to lay on, and I have the things that are already
And that heart is probably already stuck on there, so it's okay to go.
So if I can just kind of give you an idea how that grout's going to go in there.
So you're just squeezing it around. Do you care if you go over on top of any of the tile, or are you trying to avoid it?
That's too fussy. And actually, you can make your hole a little bit smaller when you go through these little, I did a little bit of a bigger hole than I should have, but you just kind of get the idea that you go around your piece.
You can also use a pastry tip as a dedicated craft tool.
And you can also use your finger to move it around as
That's one of my favorite crafting tools, actually, and I've got 10 of them.
You can, you can use them all at once if you want. So anyway, I have all that kind of laying in there, and then it's going to come out so that my area that I'm just going to sit my pieces on, I'm just going to set them like that. And of course, this will all settle. It's self-leveling.
Okay.
So once you have that in and all mixed, you're going to be able to just wait and let it dry for 24 hours. If if you're fussy, you can come back with one of your sticks and clean it up a little bit, and then you're going to maybe have a little haze like you do with real grout. For that, you would just use a little cleaner, a little solvent, a little rag, and you just buff it off and get it nice and clean, and it works like a charm.
And for people who don't know what self-leveling means, it just means that it will become absolutely level over time.
It'll level itself off, and there are no sides, as you see.
Yes.
So it only comes out a little bit.
Right.
And then it's done.
And your finished pieces are absolutely gorgeous. I'm excited to make some mosaics with the grout under and over. Thanks, Lynne.
You're welcome.